Hi, I'm Shane from BMXUltra.com, and today we're actually going to install some Alienation Tubeless tyres. What we're going to need is to get the front or back wheel off, depending on which one we want to do. So you'll need a tool for that. You'll need some pointy nose pliers, and we'll explain why later, and a pocket knife or something to punch a hole through the rim tape. You'll need your sealant, you'll need your tubeless valves. These ones are the Alienation TCS Presto valves. You can get them in brass or aluminium. And you'll need your rim tape. And of course, we have our back and our front tyre. So at the moment, 1.6 rear, 1.95 front. But first, we have to remove these tyres. So there's our old tyre, we don't need that anymore, and our tubeless rim. Strip him off, you're not going to need that. This is when you put on your stick-on TCS tubeless rim tape. Find your valve hole. It's normally quite easy. So we've got two valve holes in this particular rim. One's for the standard American Schrader valve, and then we've got another one here which I've got covered up by a sticker that's for the French style valves, so the ones we're going to be using. So what I'll do is I'll start the rim tape one side of the hole, and we'll go completely around and finish at the other side. So I've got the rim tape on now, and the next step is to find our hole, which is here, and punch a little hole to put this little valve in. So I've taken the cap and the lock nut off, made my hole, and we just push that straight through and lock that on with your lock nut. This is where we need the pointy nose pliers. You want to pull that through nice and tight so it creates a seal between the valve and... Okay, next up we're going to put the tyre on. Of course I'm going to line up my Alienation logos with the valve. These will be a little bit tighter than your normal standard BMX tyres, and that's because it needs to create that seal to stop any air leakage. Now the normal way to put a tyre on is to put it on completely, pump it up till it gets to about 40 or 50 psi, let all the air out again and feed your sealant in through the valve. That little valve end comes out. A handy tip I've picked up from the mountain bikers is you leave a bit of a gap, pour your sealant directly into the tyre, then close it over. We're going to try that way. So it takes about 2 ounces of sealant. Our bottle here has about 8, so we're going to tip about 1/4 of the bottle into the tyre and see how much mess we can make. Okay, so we've got the sealant in the bottom of the tyre there. What I might do is roll it around to the other end that's not open. The floor is covered in sealant. Okay, so we just need to pump it up now. So at about 40-50 psi you should hear a snap, and that's just the beads seating in the rim. Okay, so we've got some pumping going on. There's our snap. You may hear 1 or 2 more. Oh, there we go. And there. So I did lose a whole bunch of sealant trying the old mountain bike way. So I'm going to have to let the tyre down now that it's actually seated. Inject a little bit more sealant, I think I lost about half of it, and then pump it up again. So we've taken the valve core out, so you can see here there's no core, and your sealant should come with a little injector tube. I'm hearing all sorts of little leaks. What I haven't done is tried to mix the sealant around. So you want to rotate the tyre a bit, bounce it around, give the air and sealant time to do their thing. There's a few tiny little bubbles now, but you can't actually hear the sealant leaking. So bounce it around, spin it a bit. It does get a little bit messy, so maybe not wear your favourite profile t-shirt. Now remember, when you do get a puncture with a tube system, it's just going to go down. When you get a puncture and you're using tubeless with the right sealant, the right amount of sealant, What'll happen is, as your wheel's spinning, the sealant will actually fill the hole, providing it's not too big. So good idea, maybe go for a ride after you fit the tyres and make sure that your sealant has a chance to spread over every little gap that might currently be there and over the tyre for when it actually is needed for in the case of a puncture. Now I can't find a directional indicator on this tyre, so I imagine it doesn't matter a great deal, but if you have a look you'll see the little arrows in the dead centre pointing forward. I would normally point those forward on the back tyre. Remember, we're not going to go for the mountain bike way of doing things, leaving a gap, pouring the bottle in. That's got messy. So we're going to put the tyre on. Okay, so that's over on the rim. We just need to inflate that now to about 50 psi. We'll let the air out, put the sealant in, and then pump it up again. So we've got a tyre bead in the channels, so we shouldn't get any leakages. Letting the air out and taking the inner core of the valve out. Okay, so we've got our sealant inside, haven't bounced it around, and if you listen carefully you'll hear a slight leak, so we need to spin the wheel, let the sealant work its way around the rim. Maybe a few bounces as well, and it should be ready to race. And you can just about hear nothing, so a little bit more of a spin. A bit more bouncy, and I can't hear any more leaking. So there you go with fitted tubeless.